I got a Daisy feeling. I got a Daisy feeling. Yeah.
Hello everybody, I'm JABYBHAI, joined by ACHARAJI.
What's up?
We are continuing forward with The Romantics, Season 1, Episode 3. The New Guard is what this one is called. Thanks so much for coming back and joining us. And make sure to hit that subscribe button, bell icon, all notifications. Pretty please vote this up. Let YouTube know you're enjoying what you're watching. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're seeing a cut down version of our reaction because we can only show you a limited amount of picture-in-picture. But if you want to watch the whole thing with us, no cuts, no interruptions, head over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/JABYBHAI, or become a member of this channel. You'll get access to the full uncut reaction, but you'll need your own Netflix subscription, so you can open up each episode in an adjacent window to our reaction. We'll give you a 3, 2, 1 countdown sync, and it'll be like you're watching with two of your favorite pals, Daisies from the internet. And here we go.
So I grew up with films being made around me. My father was a producer, and my uncle, Mr. Nasir Hussain, was a producer, leading director and producer of his time.
Mother, my grandmother, my aunt.
Oh, I didn't know she was from a film.
My nieces, my son, we are all actors.
My mother was in movies in the 60s and 70s.
I grew up on film sets.
I was a filmmaker's son, and I thought, well, that's what I have to do. I have to grow up and be in the films.
Yash Ji and my father have worked a lot together.
Wow.
I feel really proud to say, have you seen Slumdog Millionaire? They're like, yeah. So I'm like, I'm that guy's nephew.
And now we all are very comfortable working with each other, so it's great fun.
Nepotism.
The N-word.
Nepotism debate, which has really flared up in the past year or so, is unfortunate. I think about 20, 25, 30 years back, the industry was definitely smaller. It was just very natural for a child to aspire to do the same business as the parent, which actually was true in most Indian businesses.
Yeah.
Every person who comes from a certain privileged background, what they sort of call the insiders of the film industry, everyone is not successful. I can articulate it without mentioning other people. I can just articulate it mentioning my own family.
Right.
My brother is an actor, and he's not a very successful actor.
Whoa.
Now here is the son of one of the biggest filmmakers. He's a brother of a very big filmmaker. We could not make him a star. Why could we not do it for our own? Bottom line is, only an audience will decide, I like this person, I want to see this person.
True.
No one else can decide that.
I feel like there's an interesting conversation there to be had for sure.
I mean, you can keep trying, and the audience, if they've decided that they don't want to see that person, they can still make it like, no, we don't want to see that person, we're not going to go watch. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but the benefit is you have how many opportunities you
Exactly.
can get.
You get way more chances. That's true.
I'm not mad at it, by the way. If I have the opportunity to help my son or brother or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to help them.
Yeah.
For a long time, everybody knew what I was going to do in life. For a long time, we didn't know what Uday was going to do. And Uday was exploring. He had gone to UCLA. He was exploring,
Living life.
Yeah.
I was very interested in acting, and I was always performing in school. So in my mind, I knew that's what I wanted to do. But I was a little embarrassed about actually admitting to people that I wanted to act.
I understand that.
That's the time I was writing Mohabbatein.
The cool thing about my family was, like, even though I said, okay, this is what I want to do, it wasn't like, oh, you're going to get a movie. Like, my brother was like, okay, fine, but you got to test.
Yes.
You're really good in front of the camera, because if you're not, then there's no point.
Fair. That's fair.
I'm Yash Chopra. I play Vicky in Mohabbatein. Vicky is basically a very happy-go-lucky kind of guy. He's the
best character in the movie.
Rosy colored filter,
He's the best character in the movie.
I have virtually seen Adit Chopra born in front of me. He was a little baby in arms. And to then be sitting in front of him and listening to a narration to absolute perfection was an experience that I have not felt in my entire career.
That's gotta be
wow.
weird. That's gotta be so weird.
I didn't have any learning. It was just instinct. So my logic was simple, that if we are a production house and we now know how to produce films, let's do more of it.
Yeah.
I remember Mujhse Dosti Karoge was a very important film. I believe that film is very important in my career as a producer, because that's the film I didn't want to make.
Oh.
The story is a simple story about a guy falling in love with the soul of a girl, but mistaking that soul for somebody else. finally, when he realizes who it is, he has to choose, okay, now what does he do? Does he stick to the girl that he kind of professed his love for, but actually those were not her thoughts or her emotions that he fell in love with? Or does he, go with the girl who he believes he really loves? I always react to any story or any material as an audience first. And as an audience, I felt, I'm not sure I'm going to like this. What happened was, my father loved this film. My mother loved this film. Hrithik Roshan was the top star at that time. He said yes. I said, my God, I really am not seeing, what they're seeing. So probably my thinking is not correct.
I don't know, man. He has really good instincts, though.
The film was a pretty big film, and the film didn't do it.
Your instincts were right, sir.
It was the best thing that could have happened to me.
Oh, interesting.
You learn from your losses, though.
That's true.
My first slate of films which carried my name as a producer was in the year 2004, and it was Hum Tum, Dhoom, and Veer Zara.
I loved Veer Zara.
Hum Tum was a script. When we had signed Hrithik Roshan for Mujhse Dosti Karoge, we had to wait 1 year for his date. So Kunal started writing Hum Tum script at that time, and he gave me a few pages, and I said, oh God. My father didn't get the script. So I told him, I said, Dad, please allow me to make this. You give me a budget, I'll make it with that. So he said, okay, if you make it in 8 crores, you make it.
How much is that?
And I found it fresh, I found it funny, and I found it very relevant for contemporary India.
Has anyone recommended this movie?
I don't know. Anyone want to see a reaction to this?
Adi and me have had a great working relationship. He had called me for a film which strangely was called Dulhan, which means bride. And that film never got made. But I landed up being his bride after many years later.
Aww.
And he's the person who actually believed in my talent.
She's got the best voice.
I think she's fantastic.
For Hum Tum.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
And the award goes to Kunal Kohli for Hum Tum.
Wow.
Okay.
Go your own way.
There were 3 pillars of Hindi films, like everybody used to say, like you can't do without, which is drama, emotion, and romance. I said, I'm going to remove these 3 pillars and see what happens.
Oh, shit.
Oh, with Doom.
Doom was this film which I actually, simply put, I wanted to make a film where I wanted to combine Manmohan Desai and Michael Bay.
Now I feel like I gotta watch this.
YashRaj film was known for only romance. YashRaj films were Yash Chopra, actually, And I said, to be a studio, I need to make sure we are good at doing other stuff as well.
Good point.
I again had to work on a budget. So I took 3 upcoming actors. I didn't take stars.
Oh,
and
shit.
I spent more money on the bikes than them.
Oh, wow.
My name is John Abraham. How's it looking, guys? You're happy? I'm a motorcyclist, and I'm an accidental actor.
Wow.
Sleeper hit. No one expected anything out of us, especially anything out of me. And my concern was only riding motorcycles.
Oh my God, that's wild. And now he's so huge.
There was this character, Ali, that Adi said he wanted me to do. And he had this particular way of speaking, which is kind of like a very street way of speaking in India. It's called Tapori. And I wasn't used to speaking like that. Naturally, I had to learn. So I asked him can you bring someone over that I could interview because I need to do a character study. So he says, I know this guy and he's really into movies and he'd love to talk.
I'll never forget the expression on Yash uncle and dad's face when the trailer of Dhoom first came. They came out after almost half an hour, 45 minutes. And we got to know that they'd seen it on repeat some 10, 12 times. Come on. And I remember Yash uncle said that ye bachcho ne achhi picture banai.
That's cute.
Prior to that, most Bollywood films were solely romantic, solely a love triangle, story about parents' acceptance. And Dhoom was like, God, this is our Mission Impossible.
I remember Adi telling me this. After this film, if motorcyclists go out and rev their motorcycles, we've got a hit film.
Year 2 after that, he was on the phone again saying, okay, we got to do the next one. It has to be bigger. It has to be better.
Oh, then they got stars.
The production value, I think, went way beyond.
Damn.
Every time I watch a Western film that's supposed to be so aesthetically pleasing, I'm not gonna lie, I have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder because I'm like, have you seen Dhoom? Let me introduce you to Dhoom.
When I started writing Bunty or Bubbly, the whole thing was like, okay, this Desi stuff is like really cool. The same producer and director Adi, he had literally invented this whole NRI thing. And he just spun around on his axis overnight.
It's all ebb and flow.
Yeah.
I saw a newspaper article where the Indian women's hockey team had won a big tournament. And the way the journalist had reported it made you so proud. And the size of the column was this much.
Wow.
And it just occurred to me that like, I didn't even know we had a women's hockey team.
Oh, is this how we got chucked to India?
Yeah, maybe.
We finished the readings for Bunty or Bubbly and Nadi said, what do you want to do next? I said, I have a story which I really want to tell. And if I can't tell it, then I'll just go back to Delhi. I don't want to tell any stories. I don't like this stuff. I told him about all the athletes I met, all the girls and all the coaches and what they face and like how they need to be famous. And it all just came out and he said, let's do it.
Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Such a good film.
YashRajfilms, even when it's talking about the concepts of nationhood and things like that, it's never exclusionary. I mean, even a film like Chak De India, at the most, it's a patriotic film.
That's true. They do a really good job of making it feel like inclusive.
Oh, that's cool.
All these people would say, you should cast. And I'd be like, I don't even know what casting is.
Where are some of the most unusual places that you found talent?
On the street, coffee shops, parks. If I walk into the jewelry store, I could find a girl there. It could be anywhere.
Did we hear a story about this person?
Maybe.
What was the first role that you cast that was like your brilliant idea?
Of course, Ranveer Singh. Yeah.
Ma'am, you must ask me about how I landed my first part. So I met this very, very interesting person, Shanu Sharma, at a party. I had given up on wanting to be an actor. She hadn't decided on her career path, but we became friends. I went to university and got my degree. I came back and she actually got me my first few auditions.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
There she was showing me this scruffy looking guy and he's very loud and he's
Really fun experience. I met some really
I mean, in the photos, he really looked not good. And I said, what's wrong with that fire guy, actually? I said, what's wrong with you?
And I was like, no, just send him in for a test. So I tried to get in touch with Ranveer, and as usual, he was just really busy on a date or something. Finally, I stopped calling and I just wrote Adi Chopra.
I was like... and the assistant was a warm young lady whose name was Bhumi Pednekar.
What?
Wow.
And Bhumi was very professional.
What?
Her manner of going about it was really putting me at ease. The only reason I was able to give a good audition was because she was performing the scene with me.
What? That is so crazy.
Wow.
And I just couldn't take my eyes off him. He was just riveting. He was charismatic. He was attractive while he was acting.
I start reading with Anushka, with Habib sitting there and Manish sitting there, and it's a disaster.
Oh dear.
A few minutes later, boom, walks in who I've never seen this individual, but I know that this is Aditya Chopra. He was like, he finishes his way. He's like, so, why are you screwing it up? Like, look, kid, you were great in your first few auditions and you've been terrible after that. So when I saw you audition, I saw a 25-year career in front of me.
Wow.
And he was like, so we've decided to go with you.
Wow.
And I sat down to my knees and I started crying.
Jesus.
Whoa.
That's crazy, yo.
But like Adi's instincts have always been correct. I think that he always has to go with his instincts.
Released on the Friday and on Monday I was famous. It was almost literally overnight.
Wow.
Yes, if you are born into a film family, there's no doubt that there could be an easier in to getting a meeting, getting an audition, even probably getting a break. But it just stops there.
Yeah.
There's a very talented actor. He's very hardworking. But for whatever reason, an audience did not want to see him the way he wanted to see himself.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
I've had successful movies. It doesn't matter because the perception started going down the path that he's just like, the child of nepotism.
Then at one point, I think he he kind of decided on his own that, probably this is not for me because I'm not going to be able to find the kind of success I want to. So let me start to step away from this and let me start to do something else.
So what's he doing now?
Chilling.
I know one thing, that he was very happy that Adi was slowly taking over. In fact, I heard him say one night, Adi is handling the office so well, I think I can now die with grace.
Wow.
Wow.
I said, don't say that, please.
So many feelings.
So many interesting things. I mean, they brought up the thing, I feel, that a lot of people in the film industry are not comfortable with talking about is the big N-word.
Yeah, they broached that conversation. Yeah,
it was like, we're gonna have I guess it wasn't like the entire episode being focused on that, but they brought it up at the beginning and they come back round to it at the end.
I feel like a substantial amount of the episode was focused on that. That was kind of the point, was dealing with that topic head on. And I think they dealt with it in a pretty strong way.
Yeah.
But I mean, they made a very strong case, which is and Aditya's been saying it the entire time that you've heard him talk, which is the audience decides at the end of the day what goes.
Yes.
It's like if the story resonates with them and they like the actors, they'll champion them and they'll want to see them back and etc. Right? And that sort of decides the course of things. And all Aditya's doing is trying to have his finger on the pulse of what the audience is looking for and speaking to that.
Yeah.
And he's done it very successfily, repeatedly. He's got his crystal ball, which is obviously informed by years of research and studying. He's, he understands things in a way that most people, it is at a level that most people are not. I get that. But Abhishek Bachchan had a string of bad films, as they pointed out here, right?
Yeah.
He wouldn't have gotten as many chances as he did if not for being Amitabh Bachchan's son.
That's true.
That's true. They made the case right there in the same breath. Because he's Amitabh Bachchan's son, he got to have multiple opportunities before Dhoom. Right?
Right. Which other people, who, if they didn't have those same connections, probably would have had one opportunity, maybe two.
Yeah.
And then that's it, you're out.
Right. I mean, imagine if Ranveer Singh's first film out on that Friday didn't do very well.
Yeah, if it had flopped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then that's the end of that. And Aditya Chopra made a mistake.
Yeah, but he doesn't do mistakes.
Yeah.
No.
But because the film did well, Ranveer Singh became a hit over the weekend. I was a little bit annoyed that he said overnight. It's because no, but you'd been putting in time up to that point, dude.
Well, I think that's the thing. A lot of the time I've realized that everyone who is an overnight success has put in at least 8 to 10 years work behind the scenes, pounding the pavements, doing all of that before they become famous. I think in Ranveer's case, maybe it wasn't that 8 to 10 years, because it seemed like it wasn't really anything that he had taken too seriously. It was something that he wanted to do, but he just thought that it wouldn't be possible. And then he ended up being in the right place at the right time, knowing the right people, and just having that spark, that X factor that Aditya Chopra was able to recognize, and he just knew that this guy was going to be big and that he should launch him.
It's just crazy because he had those subsequent auditions that weren't going well, and Aditya went with him anyway.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's like, if someone believes in you, they believe in you, and that's that. I learned that lesson a long time ago because I was doing a commercial audition. That's actually one of my commercials that I booked. It was for Chevy, and I was running the audition for it, and I happened to kind of be friends with the director, and so he took a liking to me. And then when he saw that I auditioned for it, he championed me, which just happened to work out. So that was cool because it was some good money that year. What happened was I saw an actress audition and she screwed up multiple times in the audition. She's like, let me take that again. And she did it. I was just kind of baffled because afterwards he's like, I want her. She's great. And he turned to the others and he's like, she's great, right? I was like,
they
what
were
the
like,
hell?
what?
Because he's got a strong voice. He's directed multiple episodes of The Office. When a director believes in you, they will fight for you and they will make it work.
No, and the thing that I was going to say is that actually doing a good audition doesn't necessarily mean that you're a good actor, and vice versa. Because auditioning in itself is like a different art form in a way. And I am not generally someone who auditions very well. I think I do much better on set. And so I can kind of understand, like, maybe when he was auditioning with Bhumi Pednekar, like everything was right. They had a great rapport. Like he was having so much fun with her. And then all of a sudden he gets a call back and the pressure is on. Like I've felt that. Because like all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, like I've passed on to the next stage. Oh wait, let me watch myself sabotage myself and do everything wrong when I know that I can do everything right because I'm nervous now. I'm acting in front of Anushka Sharma. All these important people are in the room. Like I can understand why he would have absolutely bombed in those auditions, but it was so awesome that, you know, Aditya Chopra decided he was going to go with him regardless. And I just love how when he listens to his instincts, he's usually right. You know, this guy has his finger on the pulse, and while he championed and like did the whole NRI story, which was huge in the 90s, he then turned around and was like, nope, now we got to bring it back to India because things have changed. And I think like that's what makes him such a visionary, is because he's someone who can recognize the trends and he's almost like one step ahead of it, or he's the one creating those trends every step of the way.
It's a little bit of both. I'd say it's recognizing the impulse of the people,
where the puck is going to be.
Where the puck is going to be, and then kind of going with that. You know, Amazon brought back bookstores. It's like, why would you do that? You're the reason why bookstores are gone, and it's because they recognize the impulse of people. They recognize where the trends are going.
Yeah, the
and
nostalgia.
They recognize that nostalgia factor of people want, you know, physical. You know, they want that again. That's something that's tangible again. Yeah, Aditya Chopra has that kind of genius in him, and it seems that he's made way more films as a producer than a director. Like, there's way more money to be made. You can get a lot more done when you're on the producer side than the director side, where you have to spearhead everything. So that's very, very interesting, and it makes a lot of sense. What's fascinating to me, though, is he doesn't like to be in front of the camera, right? He doesn't like to be spoken to too much. He doesn't do interviews.
Yeah.
But he's a producer, and that's interesting because as a producer, you have to be kind of that social person, and it seems like he's kind of antisocial.
Yeah, like when they were talking about the casting director and the parties and stuff like that, I feel like even in Hollywood, a lot of stuff gets kind of done at parties, or you can find your way into the room by being at the right parties and schmoozing with the right people, charming the right people, and making friends with the right people. Yeah, there's definitely that element. And a lot of the time, the producers are the ones who are like out there hobnobbing and rubbing shoulders with everyone. But yeah, like you said, it is interesting that he's much more just like introverted.
Yeah.
He's just more interested in doing the math and creating projects and doing films, you know?
So that casting director, I think we had heard a story about her. While we were in Mumbai, we had heard a story about a casting director who would get approached all the time by actors because she kind of like has made people famous. And I feel like this has got to be her.
I had a feel, yeah.
Because it just seems like with the details that I had heard, I'm like, this is probably her. That's probably who they're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
I could only imagine what it's like being a well-known casting director and being hounded by actors left and right who are like looking for their opportunity to shine, and they're kind of bothering you to the point that it's like you're a Bollywood star and you can't just eat in peace.
Well, yeah, because like you've made the career of people like Ranveer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's huge. And so yeah, I can totally imagine like all the young actors must feel about her. And it's like, oh my God, if I could just get her to like me, if she would just put me on tape or champion me the way she did him, like all of a sudden I would have a career, you know?
Uday Chopra was the best character in Mohabatan, but that doesn't surprise me necessarily because his brother, you know, was the one who told that story. And so it's like, who knows him better than his own brother, right?
Right.
And so he's gonna get the coolest role in the movie because I am obviously biased towards Jimmy Shergill. And here I am watching this film going, Uday Chopra's character is my favorite character in the film. So it speaks to, well, first off, my honesty. Because Jimmy Shergill is near and dear to my heart, right?
Jimmy could call you up and be like, Jabby.
Yeah, no, I mean,
why am I not your favorite character?
Jimmy's one of those people, like, if he asked me to do anything, I'd probably do it.
Right.
Like, if he said, hey, I need some help, like, promoting this, whatever it is, I'll do it.
Right.
He doesn't have to tell me about what it's about. I don't care if it's controversial, whatever. If he asks me, I will help him out, right? And so, just to let you guys, like, in on, like, how I feel about Jimmy Shergill. But watching Mohabatan, I was like, this Uday Chopra guy, who I have no idea who he is, Because when I watched him, I'm like, I don't recognize him.
Yeah.
It doesn't like his face looks vaguely familiar, but I have no idea who he is. And when I watched him in the film, it's like he had all the best lines, he had all the best moments. And then watching what little they gave him, or what little they gave us of Doom, I'm like, he clearly got the best shit all over again. You know, like with the funny lines and the interesting character, etc.
Yeah, it's one thing to be given the best shit, right? Actually have to be able to do something with that. And like, as we know, comedy isn't easy. I feel like it's almost easier to do drama than comedy.
I think it's both. I think it's a little bit of both, because there are instances where you could play a character that is rather easy to play, but because it's like an underdog or something like that, or the lines are just written so well that it almost doesn't matter how you perform it. You know, not to say to take anything away from talent. Obviously, that is a factor.
Sure.
But sometimes the roles are just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, about him, I was actually, sad that he didn't continue to perform, because I'm like, he's very talented. He's very funny. And I wish that he had the insight that his brother had to be able to take on the roles that spoke to the audience more as far as what he could give them.
Well, and I think, looking back on it now, of course, hindsight is always 20/20, right? And he can look back and be like, wow, if he'd have just embraced kind of where his career ended up and the types of characters that people wanted to see him in, which was like not the hero, as like the funny sidekick or like the second lead or whatever, right? Then maybe he would still be acting now. But I mean, I can understand why, coming from his background, it probably felt very important to him to be a star rather than like a character actor or something like that, which seemed to be more of where his career might have been going. And so, I can see why he was maybe disappointed, because that was not his path.
Yeah, and then another thing about that is he could have gotten work. It wasn't like he was not gonna get work. It's that he didn't want the jobs he was being offered.
Yeah.
So that's important to like highlight, because they're like, oh, we couldn't make him a star. It's like, no, he just wouldn't have been like the star.
Well, I think that's what they mean when they say star. They mean someone like Shah Rukh Khan, like Ranveer.
Sure, but Tom Hanks' son is still getting plenty of work. He's just not Tom Hanks.
Yeah, he's not a star.
Yeah,
he's an actor.
But he's getting plenty of work. Clint Eastwood's kids, or at least one of them, is getting plenty of work.
Yeah.
And it's because he's Clint Eastwood's kid. You're going to give him a shot repeatedly, even if he doesn't do great.
I don't see him in like lead roles of major tentpole productions anymore. He's more of like, oh, look, there he is in Fast X. Oh, and then he's gone.
He's in Fast X. I mean, a lot of people would give their left nut to be in Fast X. So,
fair.
Just saying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who would kill to be in Fast X. And he got to be there because he's Clint Eastwood's kid.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, there's your own hard work that's involved. I don't want to take that away from anybody, but you cannot ever, ever, ever deny that you have a leg up in some capacity. You have an opportunity that most people will not get.
And that's the thing. I mean, I think that's what they addressed here is like, yes, you do have a leg up in the sense of like you're starting ahead of the starting line. You're way ahead because you get handed these opportunities. The question is, what are you going to do with these opportunities, and do you actually have the talent to back that up?
Right.
No,
you're right. I mean, Alia Bhatt, she had a head start, but she's also extremely talented.
Yeah.
And so I champion her. I'm like, you're
really good.
Freaking good.
Yeah.
You work really hard.
You walk the walk, you talk the talk.
Yeah.
Like you're doing it. And I think like what Ayushmann Khurrana was saying is also true, like we are seeing this change in Bollywood, in Hindi cinema, where it's like, people are interested in seeing people who are not from film families, and they want to see new faces, and they want to see outsiders. And if you have talent like Ayushmann Khurrana or Bhumi Pednekar or Rajkumar Rao or anyone like that, who come in and you're like, the talent speaks for itself. Mm-hmm. You are gonna be able to make your way, but you don't get that head start. It's a little bit harder, but you'll make it.
I don't have an issue with nepotism, just to be clear. Like, I completely understand it, and I think that it's outside of the film industry. There are plenty of people who continue to pass on businesses to their kids and their family members.
It's the same.
It's very, very normal. I think the only issue I might have is if you're pulling up the ladder behind you, if you're keeping people out because they are not part of that, clique, that crew. That's when I might have an issue. But like, I already know myself, like if I have my best friend or some complete stranger who is also talented, I'm gonna go with my best friend and help them get on YouTube before I help some rando I don't know. It's just natural because it's like I care about that person who I've grown up with and spent considerable amount of time with, etc. If I have a kid, it's the same thing.
But what I do appreciate as well is just like for Aditya Chopra, the realization that like, no, we do need new talent, and the willingness and openness to take on new talent and launch these new people and get them in the business, you know, and just kind of opening the doors for other people who are talented. Because otherwise it gets kind of boring, you know. It's like, oh, it's always these 5 actors who are in every lead role. We need things to be shaken up a little bit. And like, I do think it's important to have different people from different walks of life, because sometimes like, obviously Uday Chopra seemed to do a great job playing more of like a streetwise character, right? But then sometimes I feel like when you come from a life of privilege and like maybe you haven't experienced so much in life, of course when you're an actor you're drawing on imagination and you're like learning stuff, but there is something that, you know, if you've actually maybe known those types of people in your life or, you know, experienced things like that, you can bring a lot more to the role, and you can also feel more authentic as that kind of like character from a village or a more streetwise character, you know?
You guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed this reaction and discussion. I'm JABYBHAI. This is
Achara Cook.
Peace out.